Welcome back to A Corporate Time. We've got Chef Pat and Eric in here.
Hey! What's up, fellas?
From Hollabox German Restaurant in Sanford.
Time. It is time.
Yes.
How long have you guys been preparing for? When does the Holla Block? When does Theo, the gang? When do you guys start preparing for Oktoberfest?
October.
Okay,
Of
great.
the previous year.
No,
easily.
no,
Of the
it
previous
is,
year.
It is our biggest
soon as
time
we're
of the
done,
year.
yeah.
So you're doing this much like radio stations do a cruise. Like once you get off the cruise, you were signing you up for the new cruise.
Planning for the next
Yeah,
cruise,
yeah, we're
right?
planning for the next cruise. Anything new that like does it make you guys angry that everyone now tries to do an Oktoberfest?
I love it. I think it's awesome.
More
yeah.
Oktoberfest, the better.
As long as they're good, because we need as many people excited about German culture as possible.
Right, don't make it crappy.
Yeah.
So Saturday is the official kickoff for you guys and the world for Oktoberfest, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so in Munich, I think they're 6 hours ahead of us. They'll be tapping their ceremonial keg, and around 1 o'clock p.m. our time, we'll be doing ours. And we've got a celebrity keg tapper, UCF offensive lineman and German, Paul Rubelt. He'll be there. You heard it here first, by the way.
Dang, I like that. At first, when you said that, I thought you said Paul Rubens, and then I got concerned because, of course, that is Pee Wee Herman, and he's no longer with us. But he was one of our finest American actors.
So, and you're tapping a wooden keg, correct? Or is it a regular? I was about to say.
It's wood.
It's
a wood look metal keg with a spout attachment, though.
It's wood inspired.
You still have to hammer the
it.
spout into it.
Okay.
It's not gone good in the last.
Never.
How long have we done this? 20 years. It's never happened well.
Yeah, its beer just gets everywhere, and it's a mess.
We're hoping that since Paul is a giant German, he's like 7 feet tall. Like I think he's listed at 6'10", 6'11".
Yeah, he's like the guy.
But like if he can't tap it, then these are faulty kegs.
But isn't
Well,
that
it's an
part of
impossible task.
But isn't that part of the fun? Like
Absolutely.
I thought that the whole point, because I've seen you guys do it, and I know Red Light, they do it all the time, and I've seen it at all the different beer places. It seems like when we do get into Oktoberfest season, that you pull out like more of the. I kind of equate it to like Grandma's China, right? It's like you pull out the good stuff. So you get the wood keg out.
Time to shine.
Yeah, it's time to look good in front of everybody. And it sprays everywhere. You get it all over you. It's frothy. And then you just go get a better beer later.
I feel like that's the American way to do it.
I was going to say, have you seen Germans? They want everything as efficient and right as possible.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. German engineering
this is
is
too
important.
much foam. It throws this away.
Yeah, yeah. Do they do that? Like,
Oh yeah, and it's like some like super efficient German grandpa, Opa, who he just takes like one look at the keg, he like analyzes it in his brain and takes like one hit with the mallet, and then it's perfect, and the beer just starts pouring, and they've got the glasses lined up, and it's
Just like a fountain.
They make it look so easy, and we're like beer spraying everywhere.
Is it a gigantic, like, cartoon wooden mallet?
Yeah, kind of, sort of, yeah.
like a Gallagher is what we call those. Like
Yeah,
a big Gallagher.
a baby Gallagher.
Yeah, like a baby Gallagher. Oh, that's an ugly baby. That's a horrible baby. And a Gallagher 2 baby, even uglier.
You know, that could be one of the problems is people aren't used to hammering things with a big wooden mallet. Just doesn't, happen in normal day-to-day
I
activities.
guess so. Not enough. Not
So
enough.
it's like, try to do something for the first time ever in your life, and then it's going to go wrong.
Yeah, well, it also, like, I'm used to hitting, like, things like that. You would think you'd hit it with something that's got some, I know this is, like, way overthinking it, but, like, something with rubber on it so it doesn't slide.
Yeah,
Or like a rubber mallet, you want something that's going to grip, so when you're hitting it, it doesn't just, like, kind of gloss over it, and then you hit yourself in the knee or whatever.
I think men don't use rubber in Germany.
Yeah, it's not a thing. Oh, that's true. That is very, very true. Hey, I was thinking about this before you guys came over here, and I was wondering, like, I don't know if we've ever, like, really talked, maybe a little bit, but of course I don't remember it, to Pat about, like, obviously being a chef. Like, did you grow up cooking?
100%.
Because I was reading an article this morning that Dolly Parton and her sister, who, by the way, is more beautiful than even Dolly, which is weird. I think she's a little bit younger.
Watch
Dolly's,
your mouth. Watch
Dolly,
your
I
mouth.
know Dolly's beautiful, but I mean, obviously, just with you can't fight age, right? So, but they're releasing a new cookbook, Dolly and her sister, and there are some recipes in it. But she talks about how she had to cook in her household because out of pure necessity. It was like literally there was no other way because in her household there were 17 children. So, like, every kid had to get, like, a chair out and, like, get up near the counter. You're peeling potatoes. You're cutting turnips.
Yeah.
It's like you got to feed the army at that point, right? Like,
Yes.
there was a lot going on. Did you cook with, who kind of started your like, I guess, younger culinary journey?
Really, my grandmother, she cooked everything from scratch. My mom also is an amazing cook, but definitely most of the stuff that I got inspiration from was my grandma's like old school recipes, like making biscuits from scratch, chicken and dumplings, her fried chicken, that kind of stuff.
Eric, did you grow up cooking? Is that a thing?
A little bit.
Yeah, see, it's not a thing for everybody.
Not until the Food Network really took off.
Okay.
Thanks to Emerald.
All right. Oh, wow. All right, so you're an early 2000s guy,
Yeah,
or
that's right.
late
Yeah.
90s.
Yeah, I got real hooked on Emerald Live and
See, I was
all those
Great
shows.
Chefs of the World on Discovery Channel every afternoon when I got home from school. That's what I watched was Great Chefs of the World, and it was all these like Michelin-starred chefs, and like they didn't show recipes; they just showed these dudes with
Doing
poor,
the
poor
process.
subtitles,
Yeah.
on their fancy French cookware, and then my mom would take me to the store, and I would buy what I thought I saw, and I would try to make it.
Yeah. Like, what if you had did you have a dish when you were little that you cooked?
Got meatloaf, and it's still my thing.
Okay, still Andrea's too. Did you have a dish that you tried? I mean,
can't think
because
of-
you were dabbling, right?
I can't think of anything.
What about now?
specifically.
Now that you know how to cook?
Oh, let me get some Kung Pao chicken.
All
That
right.
is my go-to. I probably make it twice a month.
No way. And
Oh,
now,
yeah.
aren't you an MSG freak? Don't you
Yeah,
love that?
love
This guy,
MSG.
he is crazy.
That's
look,
it, yeah.
look, Pat.
Eric's a really good cook.
That's what you told me. Yeah, that's why I thought you guys would like this question, because I'm going to give you two of Dolly's recipes. We're going to pick them apart. Tom, did you cook? Did you have?
I
Mima,
didn't.
Mame?
Yeah, Meemaw, Mame, both of them.
Adam, did they both cook? Is that an older? Did they? Because not all grannies cook. That is a myth. That is because we're in the South. I feel like, and I don't even really call this the South. That's a myth. Not all grandmas cook. That is not real.
Yeah, like I never was taught how to cook. It was never a thing. I think there must be some correlation with like cooking. I think there's cooking, art appreciation, all that stuff that I don't have. It's just I don't have it.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't. I'm like, just give me a pill that I give me the calories. Yeah. But then I see people that really enjoy it, and it's like the hospitality of it, the making meals for other
The
people.
process,
But
yeah.
then there's a chemistry part
you're
that's
good
a
at the
science.
but
and
wait
I'm
a
like,
minute.
there's science involved.
But you get the hospitality and science part. Like you are out of all of my friends, you and Crystal out of all of my friends are the greatest hosts. Like you're always hosting, you're cooking.
I
you're
like
on the
making
grill.
people happy.
Yeah.
Like I understand that part about like cooking for people, and then they're happy, and then there's an appreciation. Like even if you're like barbecuing some easy ass burgers.
Do you appreciate being in control of it though?
No, I mean I just like the fact that it's like, oh, okay, I'm doing work, and then people are happy of the work.
I
did.
think I know. It's a provision. I think you like coming because like you
Yeah,
are
I'm,
forever
like, feeding people.
We were
I don't know.
sitting there and we are like talking, and he'll come over and he like puts down a plate of sausages, and then he'll come over and put a little mustard. It's a provide thing. I feel like. So you would have been
So I got
doing
that, but
back
why
in the
don't-
day for the village, right? You'd go out, kill us a buffalo, bring back some mustard seeds.
Yeah, but then I was never interested in the actual learning all the intricacies of cooking and what makes food better.
And as
then,
you
like,
get better, it gets harder.
Yeah. And then, but there's people that enjoy, and then like following the recipes, I'm bad at that.
Yeah, when
Because I'm bad at exact,
As long as you're not
instructions.
baking, it's fine.
Yeah,
Everything's
okay.
to taste.
He's right, actually. I think the aspect of cook, I don't measure anymore.
I look at recipes
And Pat,
and then I make food.
yeah,
Okay, all right.
like I don't measure oil anymore. Like if Andrea goes like, like last night, I made soup. I made an Italian sausage, and kale cream soup.
Yeah, how much salt did you put in it?
A ton.
Yeah, but like this much, right?
Yeah,
like, you can't
I do a
quantify it.
pinch,
Yeah.
and then I do fresh ground. Yeah, I do. But
My wife needs the recipe and to follow
Yeah.
the recipe, and I can't do. It's too rigid for me. Like it's
Yeah,
Oh.
it is more fun to just kind of toss the salt in there.
You know what I don't have is when someone hands me some soup and I taste it and they're like, "What do you think it needs?" I have nothing.
always salt. Always salt.
Like I have no idea what it needs. Like I'm just like I'm just getting it and I'm like, okay, it tastes good. Like, I don't understand how to make it better or flavors. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Fat, acid, salt, heat.
Yeah. But I can't tell if something has too much fat or like salt. I can taste of something salty. But then I'm like, salty is good. So, exactly. And I'm like, does it need less salt? So, Pat, this parlays on that question. So I was going to ask you, what do you think makes a good chef? because I watch The Bear, right? That's the only thing I know about chefs.
I'm still struggling.
It's become just a long montage of art.
I'd like to also throw out this fun fact that isn't it the highest award-winning or most award-winning, wait for it, comedy series of all time?
I'm so angry about that.
Like, didn't it win like all
It makes me cry, not laugh.
Yeah,
There's
isn't
nothing
it
funny
like,
about it.
I've only seen a few episodes, and it is not funny.
Legit anxiety mid one episode, had to cut it off for about 3 or 4 months, and then started back at the second season because I lived the life. Like, it's too much. It's too much.
So, and in that, like in the upscale fine dining aspect, like that's the aspect I get because it looks military. Like the guys are like super disciplined and everything's got to be right and everybody's yes chef and it's like, you know, everything's clean.
Like
They're cleaning
the-
stuff with
yeah.
a toothpick. And I'm like, okay, well, I can get the discipline and the military aspect be like with that.
But not
that,
the appreciation of what he made.
But that doesn't make you a good chef. There's plenty of good chefs that are not.
That's
You know what I'm
true.
saying? So like, all right. So
Yeah.
then being a good chef, I know there's some subjectivity in it, but
There's
I
also
think,
good sloppy chefs. Like Jim Colbert
Yeah,
is an
I know.
amazing cook, but he
can't-
he straight destroys his kitchen every time he cooks one thing. It is horrible.
Man after my heart.
Yeah, he just throws it's everywhere, but it's going to taste wonderful.
Yeah, but I can't quantify it in my head and say like, okay, this except for the discipline and the structure part of it, it's like, okay, this guy's more structured than this guy, so does that make him better? So I'm curious to your
good
opinion,
question.
chef.
I could talk a whole episode about that. Jeez.
Well, I hope you like this because our idea is, you know, to do. We need to. Obviously, we're going to talk about everything that's happening at Hollabox, but I would like to dig into food with you guys a little bit. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I think what makes a good chef, especially like a professional chef, is somebody that's able to teach what they know. Because you could know everything in the world, but if you die with all the knowledge and don't pass it on, you did a crap job at your job.
Like that
Okay.
sushi guy.
Jiro.
Yeah, Jiro.
Yeah, no,
You watched
100%.
that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Is
but
he
like,
dead yet?
He's
I
gonna
shouldn't
live
have said it
forever.
like that, right? Is he dead yet?
He
Why would-
passed
yeah.
on. Didn't he pass it on though? or
No, but he didn't want to. He was-
Right.
Wasn't he
Oh,
like
okay.
reluctantly like?
Begrudgingly to his
Yeah.
son that's been a dishwasher for 16 years.
And I think
or-
he thinks his son. I think he thought his son was weak.
Oh,
I think he was like, "You are weak."
You
I'm sorry.
mother.
It just needed to be said like that, though. Like I think when he looked at him, he was like, yeah, you know, very mad, very
Like,
mad
It
at him.
brings family great dishonor.
Yeah.
Yeah, but being able to pass on, like being able to be controlled in a chaotic situation and being able to be composed, being able to listen to your guests this day and age without, becoming indignant about it or without, just thinking that your way is the right way and the only way, being open to criticism and taking it gracefully now.
So
there's a lot of management and hospitality
Oh, yeah.
mixed in with being a good chef. Not always about just the cooking.
There's a million good cooks.
Okay, all right. So the cooking, you would say, is a smaller part of the overall
Sure.
being. Okay, all
I
right.
said my grandma was a great cook, but she couldn't go in a kitchen and be a chef,
right.
She also could feed 50 or 100 people at a time, by herself.
Right.
Also, couldn't put her in a restaurant and make her a chef. Really, really good cook, but not a chef.
Is Last
Okay.
Comic Standing to comedians and the influx and that we have now to our cooking shows to that? Did we have a boom of even people that were not qualified? Like we all know the not funny friend of ours that decided to be a comedian,
Yeah,
right? We all know that.
oh, yeah.
I'm thinking of EJ right now.
Why would you say
I'm
that?
like, not jolly, right?
Yeah, no, my God, look at it.
That guy's the
that is
best.
that is a world traveling, touring national comedian. But like, did you see any of that? Like, you have chefs and you have people that work with you.
Sure.
Did you see like people like, oh, are you taking applications or?
It's pretty rare where we kind of stumble across people who are like, I don't know what restaurants are, but I want to join up at that
Right,
point. You know?
right.
And
Yeah.
what's the the path, and what would you recommend to someone wanting to become a chef? Is it culinary school? Is it working way
Don't do it.
from the bottom up? You know, like,
That's what we say about like comedy, radio, podcasts. You know.
Yeah.
First advice, don't do it.
Okay.
It's like anything. It's long hours. It's stressful. It's on your feet a lot. It's hot. Everything's heavy. Everything's sharp. Everybody wants everything from you right now. but also I get really good satisfaction out of all that kind of stuff, and I thrive on that. But if you're young, start as a dishwasher and be a really good dishwasher where all your dishes are washed, where you can go drop a basket of fries when the chef needs fries or whatever, and just work your way up. Be the most useful tool in the toolbox.
And then just gain all the information you can and knowledge
And
from the
steal
other.
everybody's job.
Yeah.
That's very old school.
Train
That is
your
a-
replacement. Take everybody's job.
That is
Yeah.
a very, very old. That's kind of
I've
what.
been called a job pelican before because I'll learn your job and I'll eat it.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that guy.
Swooping in.
Oh, so
I've never thought of you as a pelican.
and when Daniel was talking about Dolly Parton, it made
Yeah,
me
I want to
think,
bring up her recipes too. See what you think.
Well, okay, like so we say German food, and we may have already asked you this already, but like obviously Germany's a big country, and like that's like saying American food. Well, there's lots of different styles of American food.
Yeah.
There's Southern food that has a totally different style than Northeast, or you know.
Yeah.
So I imagine that's the same with Germany, right?
For sure.
So-
Bavarian food is typically what most people think of when they think of German food is, your pretzels and sausage and wheat beers. And that's, kind of your Oktoberfesty stuff. You go up north, there's a lot more like pickly things and seafood and stuff like that. Theo's region, a lot more pork. There's a lot more farms and farmers over in that region. So that's why they do a lot of like Schweinebraten and their the pork schnitzels and not veal schnitzels, which is an Austrian thing. And every town's got its own sausage. Like Frankfurter
That's a
is
lot of
just
pressure, man. Because I would feel like, what if you're from like some little German town and you taste the Germantown sausage? You're like, oh man, I don't like the sausage. I like the other town sausage.
It happens. Some people's like Troy, who does all of our like newsletters and a lot of online marketing stuff. He lived in Germany for quite a while, and he's got this one town that he loves the sausage from, and he's never found another one that was that. So nothing
interesting.
ever will meet the standard
It's like
for him on
football
that.
teams in Germany, sausages in towns.
Right, but that's a real thing. Like it's like a Thüringer bratwurst, but even the ones that they make over here are not the same as you get over there. So it's a real thing.
Yeah.
So, is the food a hollow box? Like, if someone from Germany comes over, are they gonna categorize it as a certain region, like a Bavarian region style cuisine?
Some of the stuff we try to have a mix of just German food and don't specifically do things from one region.
Okay.
I will say our recipes that are in-house, like, are directly from Theo's family, Theo's grandmother, Theo's grandfather. A lot of the sausages that we get are made from his grandfather's butcher shop recipes because the guy that came over to America started the butcher shop. So and like our potato salad and that kind of stuff, that's Theo's grandma, right? So it's not...
In the potato salad? Oh
Bug
my
just-
god.
Oh, you got the
Dude flies.
Dude flies.
It got you?
I'm sorry.
You got
yeah.
you? Oh my god! I fumigated this morning too. They weren't. I full transparency. I gassed this place this morning when I got in, and they weren't supposed to stop dropping out of the sky until around
Where did
until
they
around
come
one
from?
at
That's
1
like-
p.m.
Is there a garbage dump around? Like a, I'm sorry
it's
about that.
Florida.
Okay,
No, it's good.
I have to tell you the truth.
Ah.
When they put this building on the market, I started peeing in the corner of the room. I'm sorry. I'm an emotional person, and I do things when I'm angry.
But yeah, so like all that stuff's Theo's grandma's recipes are
Okay.
adaptations of. So that's a little bit regional, but our pretzels are pretty Bavarian. Our beers are all from where they're from all over. We've got the Kostritzers from the Black Forest, the Weiss beers, from Bavaria. We've got the Stiegel, which is from Austria.
Stiegel's
Of
great.
course, Bitburg from that's where
Bitburger's the
Theo's
Pilsner
from.
from Theo. Our Hollerbach's Kolsch beer is styled after
So,
beer from Köln or
Bitburg's
Cologne.
the one he's given me and said, like, try that.
Right.
It's like,
Likely, yeah.
that's a great beer.
That's Theo's favorite beer.
I like
That's-
that beer.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
It's a crazy, crushable, tasty little beer. Those are really, really good.
So before we run out of time, let's talk about some Oktoberfest.
Yes.
of
How can we
things.
participate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what do we got coming up?
You ready for the rundown?
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah.
So obviously this weekend is the biggest thing we're doing. This is the keg tapping on September 21st. And then next weekend we will be at Lake Nona's Oktoberfest. We did that one last year. Super good time.
It's cool for you guys to get out there too. I mean,
on
like
the 28th.
28th, yeah.
28th,
Yeah.
all right.
And then we have a week off, but then I think the week after that is Avalon Park's Oktoberfest, and that's the big one. That's going to be
It's Friday night and Saturday.
yeah. And then actually right after this, we have a meeting with our friends over at Central Florida Fairgrounds, and I think we're going to jump in on their Rocktoberfest at the end of the month.
Nice.
So we are
Rocktoberfest.
yeah. So we got a full calendar. You can come see us.
Super
all
Dave's
over.
going to be at that.
All right.
Anything with rock in the title. He just pulls his motorcycle
Come and get
up.
your bratwurst.
Yeah, he pulls his motorcycle up. He's ready for pretzels.
Easiest thing to do is follow Hollowbox German Restaurant on social media
Yes,
because
sir.
it'll let you know,
Here,
everything
I'll help
going
you.
on.
I'll help you to do it. In fact,
Yeah.
you could. Can I see you guys tonight at the Orlando City match and get myself something?
I won't be there, but my team will be out there.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So there you go, because I saw that on the calendar too. Hey, thanks for putting that on the calendar. It's nice to know when we can see you guys at the games. But all you do is go to the front page of the website, drop all the way down, and there'll be a little tab you can click, and that's what I did, and boom, it goes right to events.
Nice.
Yeah, and it was awesome. Everything links, it's perfect, and you can find out where you want to take your family.
And check out that meat bingo every Tuesday. Win some meat, some
Yes.
Hollowbox meat.
Yes. Do
and-
they give it? Do you have to bring your own cooler or?
That's up to you. You know,
Okay.
Yeah.
how
yeah.
lucky are you going to be? You know,
Well, I'm a
win.
confident man.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah.
You might want to bring two.
Yeah. I would just bring
Depends
one of
on
those.
your drive.
I would just bring one of those bags I see at Publix that I see on the end caps.
The aluminum
Oh,
foil
yeah.
bags.
Yeah. That appear to keep everything freezing and everything boiling.
I'll put it in my wife's purse.
wrap it in a plastic bag.
Yeah,
Put it
and
in a
then I'll
purse.
put my meat in the Publix bag. Hey. Okay.
Chef Pat, Eric, thanks so much for coming by.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Anything
fellas.
else we want to hit?
Go to Tuffy's. Check out Burger Box, the new burger restaurant we just opened.
Yes.
What is it? Tuffy's Cider Shop and Music Box. What is the official name now?
Yeah, Tuffy's
Tuffy's
Music Box and
Box.
Lounge.
Oh yeah. Should
Yeah.
we hit Burger Box real quick? And what can I get there?
Yeah, so Chef Pat and I had a vision because we both love In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah.
And there's really like nothing super like it around. So
No.
we wanted to create, mostly him actually. He wanted to create his own In-N-Out Burger. So super simple burgers, but that are amazing, and you can eat a bunch of them.
Yeah, smash burgers, like Oklahoma style, if you will. Super thin shaved onion smashed into
Oh, you're doing
them.
the shaved onion. Oh, I
For
love
sure.
that. I love that.
With American cheese and then our Sanford sauce, but it's our version of a burger sauce.
Sure.
Crinkle cut fries.
Pig sauce for those that don't know. Yeah.
For sure. And then chicken sandwiches, fried or grilled.
Oh shoot! And don't forget, like it was a total accident. So
Fried
we-
pickles.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on them.
Yeah,
fried
we were
pickles.
just playing around with some of the seasonings and stuff like that.
Like the
and
stuff
fried
we
some
bread
pickles.
bread the chicken with. Like I'm like, wonder what happened if we fry pickles with this.
They're the best.
God, fried
They're the
foods.
best.
Are they spears or
No, they're chips.
chips?
I like the
super
chips.
super thin. Too.
I like.
That's
Oh,
the key.
all right.
Yeah.
So they're crispy.
Oh my god, they're so good. They're like double breaded and then
Making my mouth water.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great, awesome. Well, that sounds great, guys. So we can Oktoberfest and get super duper fed. Love seeing you guys. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thanks.
fellas.
We will see you tomorrow.
It is another A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Dan.
I'm Tom. We have Jeff and Spencer here from the Orlando Science Center. How you guys doing?
Hey.
Hello.
Good
My
to see you.
I put some batteries in it. so-
Nice.
It works a lot better now.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
been blasting all of our guests again. Just real quick, you're not going to hurt my feelings. How do you feel about the blast?
I like it. I wish you had done it right in my face. Like, come up right into me.
And how about you?
I come from a family which is that's
Loud?
how they wake me up.
Okay,
So,
great.
hey, I'm
All right,
good.
now, as long as everybody's pro blast, we're good.
Yeah.
You shook me. You shook me.
We are a blast family.
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's get it out of the way. There's $12 Day,
Yes,
which you
sir.
guys do. Is it a couple times a year? Or
It's
one?
a couple times
Okay.
a year. Yes.
And it's coming up September 22nd, so you can experience the Science Center for $12, which is a great value for everything you have to offer. In
a
fact,
lot.
I don't even think you could see the entire Science Center in one day, but you could see. I mean, if you got there at open,
worked there.
stayed or closed,
You
yeah,
work
yeah.
there.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
not going to have it's going to be a harder experience because you're going to have to put in some work.
Right,
but
right.
yeah.
Yeah, the life exhibit is still, we have the Science and Guinness Book of World Records, which is awesome for everybody,
It's humongous.
including kids.
It's also a gigantic There's a lot to do. There's
Yeah.
like multiple, like, I mean, I don't even have a count of how many different little things you can try and
Dozens,
do
yeah, I don't know.
and size yourself up against. And
And the Science Center is not just for kids; it's for adults too. I mean, because it literally has a spectrum of everything. I mean, science is universal, and I mean just to see the life exhibit is awesome.
yeah, where are we
Yeah.
at with the life? Anything happening? Because I know that the life exhibit is alive, obviously,
Right,
and so
right.
it does evolve over time. And I know last time you were in here, I think we talked about some new birds being introduced, and yeah, what's going on?
It's you know what, we're thrilled to have it. It's now been open since April. And we had an amazing summer.
Nice.
Some of the probably the best summer we've ever had. Really great reviews. The sloth is starting to roam around a little more, not just staying in that basket. So she's scoping out the rest of the place. The tamarin monkeys are out and about. I was down there this morning, and the squirrels were out in the swamp exhibit, hanging out and running all over the place. So the animals are getting much more used to the environment, getting much more used to people. So they're out a lot more. Also, now that now that summer's over and kids are back in school, the crowds are not as heavy as they were this summer. So we were doing a queue to get into the life exhibit, because it's so popular.
Yeah.
And it's best experienced with a small group of people, because you want to walk through that rainforest and spend some time checking out the sloth. And so we were kind of restricting capacity down there when it was so busy. But now that it's quieter, we don't have to do that. So it's a lot easier to get in and move around. It is a great time to come to the Science Center, especially Monday through Friday, like we were talking about, Tom. It is a cool place for adults with the life exhibit, with the Science of Guinness World Records. We got a cool art exhibit right now on minerals and mineralogy. We've got the cool giant screen films. So a cool thing to see. But really for everybody, that $12 day on September 22nd is a great value. If you are curious about the Science Center and you've never come before, great time to check it out. If money's been a little tight and you can't spend money on activities, here's a good opportunity. So just a great discount. I mean, admission is usually $29.99 for adults, and on Sunday it's going to be $12.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. So those of us with kids, I feel like we have had a luxury and a leg up on everyone about the Science Center, because I think, I mean, I don't even know how this works. I guess other parents and also just like targeted media, but you just start getting hammered with like places that you're gonna have to need to take your children, right?
You're just gonna
so
have to.
you and me, like, I think it would be impossible for us to live here with children and not know about the Science Center.
Oh, yeah.
But there are plenty of adults that don't. They drive past it probably every single day. They drive past the hospital, everything. They get on I-4, but they're like, "What is that?"
Well, because we're Orlando, right? There is just dozens and dozens of those things that you're saying that you have to know about, that kids have to go to. So yeah, it's a heavy competition.
It is, but it is a great place where if you were having like a loose date or just meeting somebody, or like it's a destination that you can use that, again, like Jeff said, I mean, there's no other way to put it. It's a value, you know, like it saves you some money. So if you were going to go out for, like, let's say you're going to Otto's High Dive and get some fancy drinks, you could hit the Science Center first, save some money, and then impress her with the oysters, with the pipettes of all the citrus, you know, and then you get her the fancy drink. You know what I mean?
I
there
like
are
how you
ways,
think, Dan,
There are
yes.
ways to do this. Maybe I want my wife
Yeah.
to take me to Otto's High Dive, so maybe I'm
Yes.
putting that out into. But that is
to the Science Center first, and then
that
there,
is
of course.
something you can do. Like you can lean into a better restaurant on $12 day. There you go.
There you go.
That's what I'm telling you.
I have my new slogan for the event.
Yeah, right.
So thank
well,
you.
we could have partnered with some
Go
fancy-
somewhere after.
yeah,
Yes.
partner with some fancy restaurants and say, like,
Yes.
hey, look, you're saving your money here, but this
Right.
this one's gonna hurt.
Next time, we're on to something.
Yeah.
So let's talk science,
Yeah.
Spencer. Okay, so a couple things.
We were reading science before you guys got here, and we started blowing our own minds.
So Polaris Dawn just came back, and they did the first ever civilian spacewalk, which by the way,
a space pop out.
Space pop out. Yeah.
What did I call it? The sunroof? Hanging out of Daddy's sun. I called it hanging out of Daddy's Maxima.
Yeah.
But my dad had a Maxima.
You gotta get your feet out.
This man
If
speaks
it's
the
space
truth.
walk, right? Your feet have to be out.
I'm glad that all three of us, Jeff, you haven't weighed in.
If the feet aren't out, it's not
Thank
a walk.
you.
That's
It was
not
unanimous. It is unanimous that
Yeah.
that was a hanging out the sunroof spring break. That was no
Space.
It was a woohoo space.
This guy's a billionaire. He knows marketing. Doesn't he know that to actually impress the world, you got to get your feet out? You're tethered.
Honestly, go feet first. I would have been more impressed.
Well, it also wins the bet, right? Space, walk, feet out. Boom.
You're
We're done.
done.
We're done.
Just take him out a little bit. Like hang on the sides, stick your feet out, and then get back in.
Now, what happens?
Why didn't they do that?
We say that,
Spencer?
and then you see them come out, right? And then you just see them go, and then they're like, uh-oh.
Oh yeah, well
Too far.
Well, then you bite down on the cyanide capsule.
Oh, do they have that in there?
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Oh, my God.
what I feel like a true spacewalk, you can live like a minute out there without a spacesuit, right? So I feel like
it
the
hurts,
real,
though, doesn't
like
it?
eventually, it's gonna hurt real bad. But eventually, the civilians are gonna get to that like thrill seeker where they're gonna be the first ones to survive a minute in space without any breathing or whatever. You know, like we're gonna get to some extreme places. So this is a really not a step in the water, literally, because it didn't take any
What's
steps.
up? I'm
but-
Steve-O, and this is outer space.
Exactly. Like, oh my God, this real life could happen. Give it 100 years, you know.
My blood is boiling.
Yeah, you
So,
should have just
yeah.
done the breast implant, Steve-O. You didn't need to do space.
So another detail of this Polaris Dawn mission, and obviously it was privatized, and this billionaire paid for it. They haven't released what he paid, but I
There's
imagine
a
it's
lot
a lot.
of mystery surrounding all of it. It's just like, here's this guy, and he's doing this thing,
Well,
and we don't know the number.
And it makes sense. And by the way, there's going to be more of this because other billionaires are seeing this and be like, I want to be in space. And be like,
It's
I
like
have
the
a
new yacht. What are you gonna do? You got 2 yachts. You've got a hotel. Like,
You
what
can
are
do
you gonna
anything.
do?
Yeah.
So you have to go to space.
And
But you know what else we're going to get, which I like too? It's
What?
the inverse. We do get the rednecks that try to do the same thing, and they all die.
well, that'll come later when it's cheaper.
No, we just had one. Remember the guy that tried to build the
did
rocket?
just- we did just have a failed attempt at that. Yeah.
He shot himself up. Kaboom!
They are crazy.
Yeah, they are a
You
little
gotta take a little
yeah.
more dollars than that guy
I
had.
can do it on a budget.
But another detail that I thought was interesting and also causes a lot more conspiracy theorists,
Naturally.
or conspiracy theories, is the fact that this was the highest orbit in 50 years that any spacecraft or any manned mission has ever been to. And if for the layman looking at it, we're looking at it like, wait a minute, it doesn't look that much different than the space station, whatever. And I'm sure it was probably just because of photos. They wanted good photos of the Earth in the background, so they wanted to get a little
And they
higher.
also use the fisheye for the Beastie Boys.
Right, of course, yeah.
Yeah, you want to look like skateboard.
Can't you do that with like you're on
Yeah.
a mountain and you can basically get the
yeah,
whole Earth
you
with
do
a
the
fisheye?
Fisheye
Like,
Trans World
you're
magazine.
good.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure a lot of dodos like me are looking at this and wait a minute, this is the highest any human has been in 50 years since like 1969, and then they're thinking to themselves like, how much technology has progressed since 1969,
Yeah.
and then
So
we're
a
like,
giant question mark?
and then we're like, wait a minute, you're telling me that in 1969 we went to the moon, and then like, no, why isn't anybody going to the moon now? If it should be super easy.
So you've been on Reddit. You've been on Reddit.
Well, that's the logical road you start going down. You're like, wait a minute, it took until 2024 for some billionaires and SpaceX technology and the best technology in the world to get to this orbit that no man has been in 50 years. And and then they got there. They got to the moon in the 60s, and then people started like, wait a minute. Now, of course, we know that the moon landing happened.
Yes.
But and then I read
Some people
too-
are mad at us for agreing with that. But
yeah, well,
there are real people listening right now. They're like, I hate them now.
you can be mad at the truth. That's fine. It doesn't negate the fact that
Sorry,
it's true.
it's facts.
But I did see too that they're still on a timeline of getting a manned mission to Mars in 4 years, and that's what I read in the and this was like SpaceX has this plan to get a manned mission to Mars.
Right.
So
It was my
and
first-
this is more marketing and what the world will think about this. But Spencer, I have a question for you. So I'm thinking if this does happen and we do have a SpaceX manned mission to Mars, by the way, they say in 2 years they're going to do unmanned mission, which is probably the test. Like, all right, if we can send a robot, we can send a man. I do not think it's going to capture the world's attention as much as the moon landing did in 1969
percentages of technology.
Because we live in a world that is, I mean, we have the insane technology. We have, and then also we're being distracted by a million things.
Oh my God, we've thought of the same thing.
I
have a variation of.
I
this.
think obviously, I think it's going to be
going.
watched and it's going to be amazing to the majority of the world, but it won't have the same effect the moon landing did.
I can't
back
believe you're
in
mentioning
the
this.
70s.
Dude, think of this.
Or
I
69.
have a Let me just throw a little more clay, and then we'll go to Spencer. I've thought about this. Think about this. The moon landing looked like a space movie. We're surrounded by nothing but top tier space movies. In our minds, we've already been to Mars. You see what I'm saying? Like we've been there. I could go to the science center and sit in that. What's the thing I sat in there with the Hubble ball or
with
the
planetarium.
hologram?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome. Like I can do that, and like you see what I'm saying? Like it's like I feel like
It's less impressive as
is.
it was
It is
comparatively.
Yeah, I mean, kids can play Starfield, and it kind of is like landing on Mars. You know what I mean? Like,
I think that is real. I've thought about this in terms of like aliens. Actually, it's interesting that I haven't fully pictured the Mars landing. I've always just kind of assumed we'd have another lunar landing, right? Like that would be a huge deal. But you might be onto something because I've considered it with aliens. Like the day that we prove aliens are real, 20, 30 years ago, that would have broken humanity. At this point, I feel like it'd be all the news for like 2 days. And then it'd be like, yeah, well, okay, there's aliens. Like, we're not going to do anything about it.
We're ready for aliens because we had Diddy.
Right.
So enough, right? Like we've seen it all, man.
Exactly. We've thought of every single permutation of aliens that could happen. Like, and so it's just gonna be one of those. Like I've already thought about this, And so you're right. It's interesting.
And so it will be interesting. Now,
I'll be watching it though because I think it's super cool.
I mean,
everyone will be right, but we're gonna watch it with like
the
half
Olympics.
excitement.
Like
the Olympics, right? I didn't really watch the Olympics this year. It was my first year. I didn't really pay attention to it, and I think it's the same thing. I'm sure a lot of people still did, but it's gonna drip off.
But it wasn't
as
too
much stuff.
It was not as good as the creepy Putin at the Olympics. That was the creepiest
that was
Olympics.
The best one.
Yeah, when he was watching and he's leaning over saying weird. What is he doing? Is he killing people?
And it's so insane too because for us to send a manned mission to Mars and have someone walk on the surface of Mars is so insane
crazy.
that we've progressed to this point. And
it's Isaac Asimov. Me as a young boy thinking, well, that'll never happen.
Well, I saw a meme the other day. I get most of my science from memes. And it was a comparison like the Wright brothers flew. I forgot the year, 1908 or whatever the year was, and then
we might have gotten that.
And then we flew a drone on Mars like 100 and like 15 years later or something. We got to the point in humanity that it took us only 100 years to invent flying and then fly a drone on Mars. And not even the moon is like, it's Mars.
Right.
It's far from us, And
Mars sounds cool.
That is an insane accomplishment that we should be way more impressed by. It doesn't seem like we are. No one even watched the damn drone on Mars.
You know what this is? This is those turtle eggs again. Nobody's appreciating what we have, this amazing thing, and nobody gives a damn about it.
Y'all, we dove a robot, because a satellite is just a robot, right?
Yeah.
We dove a robot through the rings of Saturn like 10 years ago. Like you can barely see it with your eyeball. And we dug metal out of the ground and like melted it in just the perfect way that it launched to space and like went through the rings of Saturn.
Yeah.
I mean, and we don't even talk about that, right? So yeah, that's a really interesting point. There's something about humans though that like a lot of people that I work with and I talk to, they care so much more about human exploration than robotic exploration, which is the opposite of me. I love that robot stuff because we can go and learn more science than humans are ever going to be able to do. Like, we know about Saturn now because of that mission,
humans have limits.
Right, exactly, yeah. We're squishy.
We're flawed.
Yeah, it's terrible. So I love the robot missions, but, people are intrinsically so into human-driven exploration, and so there is this new excitement that is going beyond Cassini, that satellite that no one talks about, right? So I think we're going to still see an increase in space exploration excitement, but it's not going to hit that lunar landing.
Well, that goes back to why we're not going to the moon, and people saying like, okay, why aren't we going back there?
It
should be easy. But it's like, but then the people that have the money and the the science are like, why go there? There's
Right.
nothing there. Like
Yeah.
we know there's nothing
Well,
there.
these are also people that have, or like we've been there, right?
and-
Like there are people that
and-
are like, you haven't
yeah.
been
and-
there, go again.
And what pushed us was the space race, which is
Exactly.
all part of the history. Is like we wouldn't have gone unless there was that space race with Russia.
Are we in a
and
miniature one
it was
now?
politics.
yeah, but are we in a miniature
We're in
one
a
now?
private space race now.
Right.
Because, like that's you brought up why we haven't sent any human higher than this private person in the last 50 years. There's literally no reason to do that. Like they went up
Motivation.
there literally just to prove that they could. That was a new space race, and that's all that the space race was in the 60s and 70s. It was just us competing to prove that we could do it. That was the reason we went to the moon ultimately, right? And so there hasn't been a reason to do that ever since. Except now the privateers have this new space race, which is really interesting, and that's what's going to push people because the government's just not going to pay at the same rate. So
And I hear all these people you're throwing around like privateer and stuff like that. It's funny. That's the language I use when I'm playing video games and I'm in the olden times.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly,
mean?
right,
Like
yeah.
it is almost like we're going through some sort of cyclical exploration.
And that's exciting,
phase.
right?
It
and
is
like,
exciting.
We haven't done
It is
that in
exciting.
our lifetime. Like we haven't been able to see true exploration because
Yeah.
it's the Earth's been mapped.
This does feel like true exploration. I'm not sure I'm on board with all the wacky billionaires, but they're I do like
got the monies.
They do. And with
Yeah.
that comes a little wackiness. Do you want me to do this one too? Because I thought this was crazy.
Yeah.
This story, I pulled this one
Let's do it.
specifically for you guys, only because it's
I hope I
completely.
haven't heard it.
It completely blew my mind. Did you know that there is a gentleman that won I believe he won a Nobel Prize for discovering what he thinks that plants can actually see.
See what?
Can see their surroundings.
Okay.
They can sense their surroundings.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
but like, okay, for like, along with that, like, it's a version. He's saying it's like, almost like a version of sight. There's a botanist named Felipe Yamashita, right? He's from the University of Bonn. And he says, I believe plants that can see, they don't have eyes, but they can understand what's going on all around them. His research focuses on facilitating plants called, and it's some strange name like Boquilla trifoliata, native to the temperate rainforest of southern Chile and Argentina. So a decade ago, research discovered that plants can sort of mimic the shape of other plants' leaves, while some suggest that this was due to like chemical releases from the plant around them. He's saying that these plants that's not happening at all. It's just like, what he did to discover this is he would grow plants, and I explained this to you, so maybe you can help me a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and then I was trying to understand, and it is a version of sight if you look at sight in a broader spectrum and like
Yes.
just the refraction
Think of a
light.
spectrum of
Right,
sight.
right,
I know
right.
you guys hate spectrum. We bring
So,
it up a lot.
I mean,
yeah.
but it's basically what our eyes are doing. It's taking the light bouncing off of everything, and our brain is
Yes.
interpreting it through our eyeballs. So essentially, this scientist basically grew a plant next to a fake plant. And so that's how they knew that the plant
here,
wasn't.
I've got it here.
Yeah.
He says to test this, he grew several Boquilla plants on a trellis divided by opaque shelves that placed plastic plants with distinct leaf shapes at the top, right? So then what he did is, like, as the real plant's leaf began to mimic the shape of the plastic leaves, the divider should have, like, blocked out everything. Right. And once it got to the part where it could actually see, it was actually mimicking and becoming the plant. And it's like it was sensing or seeing the plant in order to keep itself camouflaged and protect itself, which is insane.
That is wild.
So basically, it was just sensing the shape of the thing next to it based on the light that it's getting, and then it's interpreting the shape and then mimicking that shape based on the light that, because if that fake plant is blocking the light, it's like, all right, this area is, so it's some different understanding of what plants can do than we ever had before, which tells me that there's so many things that we have.
Things are getting spider webby.
Understanding of it, like, which is, it's crazy that like things in this earth are way more advanced than we even can conceive.
I don't even think we understand the process. Like this guy, like he was like, that doesn't make any sense. It's almost like an Assassin's Creed when you can walk over to a group of people and you just disappear.
Yeah.
Because it's insane.
Spencer, do you think it's and my sons have a problem with this, and I'm trying to because I use my sons to try to understand why like basic humans can't understand things.
Sure,
and
that sounds very
and I can't understand
human centipede scientist.
And then I'm
like, that's not good.
It's because I think that we have we can't understand time, and we can't put it in perspective. So when something is evolved over hundreds of thousands of years, right? 100,000 years doesn't even compute in our brain, right? Like we don't understand how long. 1,000,000 years, 10 million, 50 million, 1 billion. You know, it's like it goes to a point where like we can't even comprehend the size, the size of the universe. We can't comprehend how long something's evolved and what that means. Like if something took 5 million years to evolve, like that's a lot of small detail that it probably picked up over the evolution of 5 million years. And what that species can do is like, it's like, we can't even like, we're like, no way. But it's like in 5 million years it took for this plant to figure this out.
And the way you just described it almost makes these processes that we don't understand, like what we were talking about with the plants, it makes them almost, in my mind, more sophisticated than computing.
Yeah.
Like, or exactly the same.
Right. Well,
you
I
know?
think that's the big thing is whenever someone, because I love space more than anything, but like almost equally to space is quantum physics. I just never get to talk about it. The smallest stuff and the biggest stuff fascinates
We'll let you
me,
talk
right?
about it.
So we can't comprehend the really big stuff. We can't comprehend deep time, of course, and we think about that all the time. We also don't comprehend the small stuff at all. We can't comprehend like what consciousness is even a little bit, right? Like there's some quantum shenanigans going on in our brain that is beyond just electrons, guys. Like it's more than just electrons and neurons. There's some quantum entanglement, something going on that makes consciousness real, right? And so how's that different from a cat or a monkey or a slug or a plant or a computer, right? There's these it's so complex the way these things work together that we just simply cannot fathom it. And so it's like deeply believable to me that there's you wouldn't call it consciousness in the same way that a human has it, but there's a plant-like sentience that can sense the world around it. We know that with the sun, and obviously it'll move towards the sun. It has that version of sight. It can see light, obviously. And so, yeah, it's really interesting stuff. I don't know.
What do you think about consciousness? Because I saw some article that I clicked on and instead I had to pay $13.95 a month. And then I
just to read,
and then I'll just make up what I think.
Yeah, exactly. Like everyone else, like a responsible adult.
I would like to remind you that $12 day cheaper than $13 consciousness,
and you'll learn stuff.
Yeah.
too.
That's the real value.
It's $1 savings.
Yeah, exactly. Put that in your pocket.
What are the odds?
And then so as we started moving to like the quantum computers and things like
aren't they building a new one right now? Or?
Super advanced
building one.
AI and stuff. I'm like, it seems like a computer should be able to easily mimic what all human brains can do. It's like, I don't think what we're doing is that complicated.
Oh, you've seen that meme.
And I don't think we're that special.
You've seen the video of the scientist where they ask him, this has been going around like recently, and they ask him, he's an AI genius, some old man that looks like old, who's the guy that wrote The God Delusion?
Richard Dawkins.
Yeah, he looks just like Dawkins. He's one of those guys.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to paint the picture for you. And then he's all there. They're like, it's a British interview, and they're like, so what you're saying is that we will be the second most intelligent being on the planet. And he's like, oh yes, absolutely. And they're like, and so you're okay, and you're okay with that? He said, oh yes, absolutely. Will AI have a conscience? He's like, oh yes, it will have a consciousness. Well, it will be a form of consciousness, just like what we're saying with plants. But yeah, it's coming. It's coming. That was a long way of saying
it's the self-reflection of consciousness that is so fascinating, because a computer is definitely in 5, 10, whatever years going to get to the point where it'll be as convincing as a human. It'll say it's conscious, right? But like, how are we ever going to be able to prove to ourselves and our hearts that thing is self-reflective? And we can kind of assume that you guys are self-reflective, because I'm pretty sure I am. I have a sense of self and I have a consciousness. And so I can assume other humans do. As someone who loves animals, I can kind of put that onto animals, right? It's a struggle for me to put that onto plants, but everyone has that different thing that they're comfortable putting consciousness into. I think we're going to struggle putting it into robots and machines, because like, how are you ever going to prove that thing has a sense and it's not just a sense of self,
I wonder, do you think we'll hit
it?
a point of maximum, like almost like a saturation point where we use them less because of that?
No, they're gonna be too useful. Humans are ultimately lazy and selfish at our core,
and it depends on what generation is growing up with conscious robots and how they think.
True.
Well, we're old men at this point.
That's a fair point.
I was born in the 1900s. That's going to be viewed as the same way the 1800s are viewed, and of course,
I'm putting leeches on my body to get rid of the plague.
Like
that doesn't even work like that.
Well, how I think of computers is going to be way different than my kids' great grandkids.
So
they are going to be completely fine with it, just like every generation. You know. In the
So
way
what Spencer's saying is that I will learn to hate AI and reject it as much as my dad learned to hate and reject his Toshiba laptop that he was given by his manager of his rotation, and said, "You have to learn computers now, Dan." And my dad was mad because my dad hated computers.
I love that. I love my work laptop so much. It's like my favorite thing in the world. So we really are just going through this cycle, right?
Yeah. See, my dad would have not trusted you at all.
Yeah, 100%.
So, another thing I saw that just came out is, the title of this article was "The Earth is going to have a new moon." And apparently, I never thought about this, and then I read the article.
Was that the same article that said that we had the rings around us?
No, this was about there's an asteroid that's going to be visiting us, and going to be in the Earth's orbit.
I like
for
that you said visiting us. I like your choice of adjective there, or excuse me, verb.
Well,
Yeah.
that's how they
I like that.
expressed
Yeah.
it. And
Maybe
then,
the rocks are
I
conscious
like
as well.
visit. A visit sounds
Sounds friendly.
It does. It
Yeah.
sounds cool.
And apparently, it is far away, but it will be affected by the Earth's gravity. And I never even thought about this, but they're like the asteroid is moving slow. So therefore, it is going to be revolve around the Earth.
Are we
and
guaranteed
be
to
in
get it?
Earth's orbit? Yeah, they know that. And then it's going to 2.5 times, and then it's going to be back out into space.
That's dope.
Gravity's weird.
And then so I was like, oh yeah, I never thought that there are some asteroids that are moving slow. Or slower than the bullet asteroids that we were thinking of.
EJ is a slow-moving asteroid.
And,
I have to do that once a segment now.
and then they are like, you can't see it with amateur telescopes, but you could see it with big. They said that it has to be like at least 7 inches in diameter.
Hey, I know some guys with a great telescope.
and then I was like, how often has this happened?
We're calling Spencer in the middle.
Just like, yeah. Is it there? Can you see
Spencer,
it?
wake up. Where can you let us in?
And I know that there's technology that tracks all asteroids out there that we can see, and then they have a good idea where they're going, and that kind of thing. But I've never heard of a asteroid being caught up in our gravity and then rotating a couple times around.
I'm surprised I haven't seen that more places, because that's also the thing that, again, with the amount of people and the amount of science that we have, I think comes a wave and a pendulum of mistrust. I feel like there are people that would think
we can't see it.
Yeah,
I'm
right. So people are
intrinsically mistrusting you right now because I haven't verified that myself. That should literally be every single time you listen to it. Well, specifically you guys talk, but almost anybody,
yeah,
right?
that's fair. That is absolutely
But
fair.
that sounds very deeply real. I haven't heard about it, but
Okay.
it sounds super possible because gravity does weird stuff all the time. We do that slingshot mechanic with satellites, our own man-made satellites. So
Does it stay at the same speed because it has to, because of the way space is?
no, it'll speed up probably. I would assume.
Yeah, I was gonna say, does it slingshot it somehow?
Yeah, I
Does
assume
it-
it's going to slingshot out.
I would be
if it's going to
interested in-
escape the gravity.
I would be interested in how much faster. So when this thing enters our orbit slow,
Right.
what percentage does our gravity put on it, and how's it when it comes off of
Right.
us? What's it? How fast is it going?
Yeah.
That would be.
And where is it going? Right, it's going to come.
Yeah.
It's probably. Is it going to stay in our kind of orbit? Is it going to create a weird new elliptical thing that? There's all.
What
kinds
if we
of,
rocket it into something?
Just because.
It would be cool if it went around and then just rocket it into our own moon, or rocket it into a Russia satellite.
Well, when is this
America.
happening? When? What's the timeline?
Well, they said this month. So
We're okay.
so
Interesting.
It's exciting. We should have a party.
it's called 2024 PTS. That's the name of the asteroid.
Sounds like a Korean boy band.
It really
I
does.
love PTS.
Yeah.
They're great. Dynamite.
Spencer, what gets you excited? With news stories, anything about space, or I'm sure the Mars, exploration and the manned mission is something new that the
What's
world
next
will be
that we have
excited
to
in.
look forward to other than PTS?
Yeah, that's like that. Yeah, honestly, for me, I just like going deeper and deeper into space, and so I'm more in the James Webb satellite or telescopes and things like that right now,
Gotcha.
because you're learning deep time stuff, like true deep time, beginning of the universe time, and the formation of galaxies, and there's disagreements in the measurement of the distance of galaxies and how fast they're moving. We have different ways to get these numbers, and they don't agree right now with the new data in some ways, and so there's all kinds of fascinating stuff in that realm. I love it.
I read that article about that there's now questioning what our understanding of dark matter is.
A crisis in cosmology.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it's funny too because I'm sure a lot of people are like me, where like you're interested, or like, oh, what is that? And as you read it, you're like, I'm lost. Like,
Right.
what they're describing is above my intelligent level of like understanding.
Because we don't talk about the distant stuff, right? So we're so into our solar system when we're growing up and learning about space. We learn about those 8 planets. But, there's all kinds of really awesome stuff that you don't learn about until you get into college level courses. And I feel like if we had that baseline of galaxies and like deep time history, we'd be able to understand it a lot more. It's not anything too complicated. It's just we don't really cover it too much, right? So, come to the Science Center and learn about it.
Spencer,
then you'll have a deeper concept.
I can't even help my 5th grade-year-old son on his math homework.
Yeah.
I have to look it up on Google.
Yeah, I'm out on fractions. He told me something I didn't know. Did you know that you can put almost any math equation into Google and it'll use the new Google AI and the search engines that have been around for, probably 40 years now, and it'll scrape and it'll find a variation and or the exact problem and show you exactly via video how to do it. I didn't know that.
Right. It's interesting because the AI in the last couple of years for math has been doing exactly that, which is trying to find copies of math instead of doing the math itself, which is fundamentally different, obviously. And so it's creating this like really weird thing with math where you can just like copy the wrong answer. It doesn't actually know, right? AI has got like that really bad failure rate right now because it's still learning in every field. But it's really cool because I love that like even iPhones you can do this now. If the new update, you can turn it on its side, you can type with your finger like an integral, a complex math thing, and it'll just do it using that AI technology, right? And so you don't have to go to Google; it's just on your phone, ready to go at all times.
I know. That's what I tell my sons. I'm like, you don't have to learn this. You'll have a phone.
It makes it really interesting to like, what are you learning for? That was a harder thing to push back in the 90s. Now it's like a really hard thing to push. And I'll always push. To be clear, you are learning math to learn how to do math. Learning critical thinking and logic is the most important thing you can do as a human, and you have to do as a muscle. If you don't use it as a kid, you're not going to have it as an adult.
Yeah.
So that's what math is for.
Yeah, like
it's not to know integrals when you're an adult.
Yeah, taking on context clues, figuring out things, using the process, being a detective of sorts. Yeah, it's funny because like I look at it now, and my dad kind of pulled me aside early on in school, and I got a variation of that where it was kind of like you're playing a game. Like you learn how the teacher teaches. And each teacher will have a different way of teaching, and it's almost like you'll get out, just do your best and get good grades. We're not gonna assassinate you for not doing well on a test, but play the game of
And
how
that's
to
the
learn.
lesson, right? Like that's how you have to learn how to live life and like react off people and all that stuff. So like that is the lesson. That's what math is.
But I kind of just want to be in a floating wheelchair and being force-fed McDonald's.
It worked out in Wall-E, yeah.
And then while they clean up Earth because we destroyed it, and then I'm just watching my favorite shows.
Right.
It just takes me around everywhere.
It does look really fun.
Is there a bathroom in the chair? They never mentioned that. It has to be, right?
It's Disney, so
it's true.
I can't do everything.
They assume that we knew.
We're beyond bathrooms at that point. We figured out how to just not do that.
You would hate to find out that the bathroom, you'll go down, they show the sewer down there, Roger Rabbit's working down there. You'd be sad.
Well, Spencer, Jeff, thanks so much for coming in.
Good seeing you
Thank
guys, man. Good luck with $12 Day, guys. Remember, you can go. It's Sunday.
Sunday, 22nd. Grab your tickets now online, osc.org. Hit the $12 Day button. Bring the whole family. Everybody gets in for $12 a piece. It's going to be a great day.
Fairy Tale weekend, so we have all kinds of extra stuff happening. It's not even just a normal day, which is wild. Our $12 days are normally like we put them on days where nothing's happening so that we can bring in people anyway, right? Sure. But we just didn't do that this time. We're literally just doing like two big things on the same day. Fairy Tale has the ballet is coming to do actual ballet performances. We have Nemours doing like a teddy bear check-in thing going on in Dr. Dare's lab. There's all kinds of like really awesome Fairy Tale stuff.
Nemours is doing this thing where the doctors and nurses are going to be here on Sunday, and if your kid brings in their teddy bear, they'll give the teddy bear a checkup. Yeah. And the whole point is so that kids can get more comfortable around the doctor, not be freaked out about having to go in for a checkup.
I would not be good for that, and I'll hold my jokes.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Yes. We'd have a lot of intensive bears.
It's
a good thing we're at the end of the podcast.
That's really, really cool, man. That's like cool that they do that. I've never even heard of anything like that. So we got some Fairy Tale stuff. Really we got some ballet. Yeah. We've got give your Stuffy a checkup. I love it.
All for $12.
And all the cool Science Center stuff that you love and enjoy.
Yeah, we never even talk about the normal stuff. Yeah, it never even makes the list. There's so much normal stuff.
Like Dino Digs. We just never talk about Dino Digs. Like there are dinosaurs there too, guys.
Are the tubes still there?
Yeah.
We never talk about the tubes. I'm a grown-ass man. I would just sit there and put scarves in the tubes and blow them all
Have
around.
you seen that planet simulator in our planet? That it's like a year-ish old now, and you
have
can just
not.
like simulate anything in a universe. You can make black holes. Kids love this thing so much, and it's I love it.
I'm gonna have to do that.
Before we leave, my sons asked me what a black hole was, and I'm for sure
I don't know.
feeding them full of misinformation, but I was excited to tell them.
Well, you read a
I
lot
feel
about
like you
that.
understand what black holes
Yeah,
are.
I think he probably got this
Yeah.
one right.
And so
He does consume a lot of science.
a black hole forms once a star explodes, then implodes back into itself, and then creating that black hole.
Yeah.
Which is just a super mass of density that sucks in everything and light around it. But then they're like, oh, okay. And they're
Yeah,
like,
that's
well,
even hard for me to understand. Like, I'm trying. I kind of get it.
and then they're like,
Is it a void?
I think there's a cleaner way to think about black holes, which is
Okay.
like we forget that they're still physical objects.
I like a clean black hole.
a nice clean black hole,
Yeah,
right?
thank you, Spencer, for always bringing it back.
Imagine a star has a lot of stuff in it. It's
Okay.
atoms, billions or gajillions of atoms, just a whole lot of mass, right? That's what a star is. It's like a thing that's really massive. The reason it's a star, though, and it's on fire is because when things get close to each other, they don't like it, and they just like start freaking out. The little atoms get even faster, and they release a lot of energy, basically. And so, like over time, a star just stays in balance for billions of years because gravity's pulling all these things together, and the star's pushing it out. Eventually, they stop getting angry, they get tired, the atoms they stop pushing outwards, and they just all fall inwards, right? So what happens is all the mass of the star is no longer getting pushed outwards. It's falling inwards only. That's the only thing that's happening. And so it just has to keep falling and falling and falling into like an infinitely small spot, basically.
So it's like a water weenie.
It's exactly like that. Yeah.
You know a water weenie? Like the thing that's a never-ending loop of water that you can buy at. You probably had them at one point in your.
And like a kid, yeah. And you like drop them and they fly everywhere.
Yeah, you probably at one point had a water weenie in your gift shop at some point. I mean, in the 80s, or,
Right.
back in the old, the science center. But yeah, that's sort of a black hole, right? It's just continuously going inside of itself because there's no other way. The atoms have do they deteriorate or
no? That's where the mystery comes in. What we don't understand, right? Is like
we don't understand
once
why
they get past that point of like the singularity point, right? We don't understand what happens to the atoms. The physics breaks down at that point. So that's where it gets confusing and where you can't find a nice, clean way to describe a black hole. It doesn't make any sense after that. But like to get to a black hole, it's just all the mass of a star in as small a point as possible because there's nothing else pushing those atoms back outwards.
and we don't know if they ever end, right? Like do we have any evidence that after a while they'll stop?
Yeah, we
sucking
actually have
things
proved.
in?
Yeah, Stephen Hawking proved that actually they do end.
Okay.
Black holes will evaporate over time. It's
What does that guy know?
Yeah. He thought a lot.
I've always wanted to say
Yeah,
that.
you got one out.
I've
yeah.
been waiting on that for like 20 years.
Yeah.
I heard what he likes.
Mr. Chalk Fingers.
Well, he got something named after him in physics called Hawking radiation, which is pretty cool. So it worked out for him. Basically, what's happening is this is nonsense. It's just I don't even know how to say this. Basically, atoms just appear out of nowhere just because they can in the quantum realm, but they can only exist for a very small amount of time before they just obliterate each other. And this is just happening all over the place. If it happens at the edge of a black hole, one of the atoms that just appeared out of nowhere falls into the black hole. The other one leaves, right? Because it's not at the edge of the event horizon. And so because matter cannot be created or destroyed and matter is leaving, the mass of the black hole gets less. It lessens. And so through this weird virtual particle quantum shenanigans at the edge of a black holes are slowly losing energy through ways that we cannot
But
visualize.
will they lose energy based on what they're doing in space and where they're at? Will they lose energy forever?
Yes, because this is an intrinsic property of space-time itself, of
So
the
it
quantum
does-
foil that is creating reality.
So it gets less strong, but the process is finite.
Yeah, it'll go for an incomprehensibly, like once the universe is done cooking.
Because it can get like literally a nothing, but still be doing
yes,
what the
it'll
black...
be doing that for forever, basically. Oh, basically forever, technically finite, but
That's probably
10
one
to
of
the
your,
90 years. Like it's not,
that is one of your greatest end of the show Spencer questions you've ever. That was a good one, dude. That was a good one.
So and then when they
You freak some people out on
Yeah,
I-4
right.
right now. They're
Yeah,
like, whoa.
yeah.
that's the heat death of the universe is what that's called. It's a look it up. It's a lot. It's true existentialism, you know?
Yeah. It could be we're in a simulation.
Yeah, there you go.
There's a whole thing. Anyway, so Spencer, thanks for talking to us.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
So you can get a little dose of this, $12 day, Sunday. Go do it.
Do
Go
it.
hang out. And email us when you go and tell us what you thought. You know, go through the life exhibits, take some photos, and send it to us. I'd love to see where you end up inside the Science Center.
All right, osc.org, and we will see you tomorrow.